In 1932, Australia went to war against 20,000 emus and lost. Welcome to the only war where the winners didn't even know they were fighting. After World War I, the Australian government wanted to reward its veteran soldiers with farmland. Problem is, most of this land was crap, like can't grow a cactus bad. But the government was like, it'll be fine. Spoiler, it wasn't. The land was dry, brittle, and about as fertile as a nun's dating profile. These poor soldier farmers were out there busting their asses on a land that could barely grow disappointment, let alone wheat. Then came the Great Depression, and wheat prices took a nosedive. Whatever little these guys managed to grow was now worth jack squat. The farmers were broke, hopeless, and one dry wind away from full-blown insanity. Then came the birds, the 6-foot-tall birds with the attitude of a drunk rugby player. The emus. Not one, not 10, 20,000 of them with pure screw you energy. They're faster than a greyhound on fire and stronger than a roided-up kangaroo with daddy issues. Post-breeding season, emus usually head west toward the coast, chasing water, food, and a chill retirement. But in 1932, a brutal drought turned their usual hangouts into dust bowls, so they went looking for greener pastures. At the same time, the government had cleared massive chunks of bushland to make room for soldier settlements, basically turning the outback into one giant emu expressway. They plowed through wheat fields like they were auditioning for The Fast and the Furious. Crops flattened, fences obliterated, farmer hopes pulverized. When the emus finally moved on, they didn't just leave devastation. They left the doors wide open for other pests. And the cherry on top? Piles of emu crap, contaminating water, ruining soil, and reminding everyone that nature does not give a single damn. They weren't just pissed. They were ready to declare a holy crusade. They went to the government like, "Oi, mate, do something about these feathery bastards. Don't worry, mates, we'll send in the big guns." And they did, literally. 2 Lewis machine guns, fresh off the World War I museum display, loaded with 10,000 rounds of "let's fix this with bullets," along with a handful of soldiers led by Major G.P.W. Meredith, who was probably thinking, this was not what I signed up for, an official army to engage in open combat with birds. And because this wasn't ridiculous enough, they brought a cinema crew to document the whole thing, also with birds. Round 1. The soldiers marched into the field. 50 emus spotted, just chilling in the distance. Guns ready. Problem? Birds were out of range, because of course they were. But hey, the farmers had a plan. They tried to herd the birds into range. The emus, of course, went full chaos mode, splitting into smaller groups and vanishing like ninjas. Round 2. Major Meredith and his crew set up the perfect ambush near a dam. Over 1,000 emus rolled right into the kill zone. The soldiers grinned, "This is it, boys. Today, we make history." Bam! Machine guns roared to life. And then, clunk, the damn thing jammed. Only 12 emus dropped. The rest scattered like a frat party when the cops show up. Round 3. Major Meredith went, Plan B. Slap a machine gun on a truck and hope for the best. What actually happened? Absolute chaos. The terrain was just so rough, even the truck was traumatized. It bounced like a kangaroo on cocaine. The gunner couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. The emus? Oh, they were long gone. Meanwhile, the camera guy's like, I went to film school for this? Even after the truck plus gun equals failure math refused to math, Major Meredith and the boys kept going, because logic was already roadkill by that point. More ambushes with fixed positions, less truck-based humiliations. But guess what? The emus adapted. They started moving in smaller, scattered units like trained guerrilla squads. They even had lookouts, ready to alert the others the second a human showed up. It wasn't a flock anymore. It was a goddamn resistance movement. By the end of the campaign, the military fired off 10,000 rounds of precious military-grade ammo. Body count? 986 emus. That's 1 emu per 10 bullets. And that's if we're being generous. And remember, there were 20,000 emus out there. They didn't even scratch 5% of the army. It was a tactical embarrassment of legendary proportions, like bringing a tank to a street fight and still managing to lose. Newspapers eviscerated the military like it was open mic night, and the headliner was Birds 1, Army 0. One senator suggested giving medals to the emus for valor in combat, and honestly, totally fair. At this point, the army gave up. The war was officially over. The farmers? Still stuck with their emu overlords. So yeah, Australia lost a war to birds. Birds that didn't even know there was a war. Let that sink in.